As a military analyst examining the situation unfolding on October 16, 2024, in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, several key developments merit close attention given the dynamic nature of the front lines and the strategic implications for both forces. The enemy's occupation of Ostrovsk suggests a continued focus on consolidating territorial gains in regions of strategic importance. Ostrovsk, located in a region that could serve as a logistical hub, allows Russian forces better control over supply routes and the movement of troops. Historically, control over such areas has enabled military forces to sustain prolonged offensives, providing a base for replenishment and coordination. This shift in control likely puts additional pressure on Ukrainian defense lines and complicates attempts to stabilize the front. The advancement near Levadne signals a possible effort to push into deeper Ukrainian territory. Levadne could be a tactical target, offering a bridgehead for further incursions or to cut off supply and escape routes for Ukrainian forces positioned ahead of Russian lines. Historically, control of key towns or junctions like Levadne can disrupt enemy logistics and create vulnerabilities in their defensive setup, potentially leading to encirclement or isolation of Ukrainian units unless countered effectively. The activity near Tsukuryno may indicate attempts to flank Ukrainian positions or to gain a strategic vantage point over nearby areas. The area surrounding Tsukuryno might possess terrain advantageous for artillery deployment or surveillance, providing Russian forces with better operational awareness and targeting capability. Such maneuvers resemble past conflicts where exploiting geographic features has granted tactical advantages, enabling forces to launch surprise attacks or strengthen defensive postures. Toretsk's proximity to the front line makes it a strategic objective, both for its industrial base and its transport infrastructure. An advance toward Toretsk can effectively tighten the noose around key Ukrainian defensive positions. If Russian forces succeed in threatening Toretsk, it could prompt a realignment of Ukrainian defenses, drawing resources away from other critical sectors. Historically, managing such a multi-pronged threat has tested the logistical and strategic endurance of defending forces, necessitating swift and adaptive responses. Russian forces encircle Selydove, forcing Ukrainian withdrawal, says Bild analyst. Military analyst Julian Ropk from Bild reports that Ukrainian forces may have to retreat from Selydove in the Donetsk region to avoid encirclement by advancing Russian troops. Although the Ukrainian National Guard's 15th Brigade Karadag is holding the defense well, neighboring units are struggling to maintain control. Selydove, a suburb of Pokrovsk with a population of 23,000, is now nearly encircled. Ropk highlights the challenging situation. Despite the bravery of its defenders, the city is on the brink of falling due to the mounting pressure from Russian advances. He reflected on his visit to the Karadag positions 4 weeks ago, noting the determination and challenges faced by Ukrainian troops. Although Ukrainian defenders recently stalled Russian advances near Selydove, several surrounding villages have already fallen under Russian control, underscoring the precarious situation for Ukraine's military forces. Kupiansk and nearby communities amid escalating attacks. The Kharkiv Regional Military Administration has announced a mandatory evacuation of all civilians from Kupiansk and 3 surrounding communities due to ongoing hostilities and infrastructure challenges. This decision was shared by Oleg Synhubov, the head of the administration, during a telethon broadcast, as reported by RBC Ukraine. Synhubov explained that the Kupiansk area faces severe difficulties, especially on the left bank of the Oskol River, where frequent Russian shelling has hindered the restoration of essential services such as electricity, heating, and water. Repair crews are regularly targeted, exacerbating the situation. The evacuation plan aims to relocate residents, approximately 4,000 on the left bank and 3,000 on the right bank of the Oskol River, to safer locations. Space has been prepared in Kharkiv, and options are available in other regions. To date, 234 children and their families have already been evacuated from Kupiansk and nearby areas. Furthermore, a forced evacuation of families with children has begun in the village of Borova, Izium district, highlighting the urgent and expanded response to protect civilians facing frontline threats. Ukrainian forces conduct major operation in Northern Kharkiv region, decimate Russian troops. Ukrainian military units, including the Arten Group, Kraken, and the International Legion, have successfully executed a large-scale operation in the Northern Kharkiv region. They cleared 400 hectares of forest, capturing a key enemy defensive area. During the assault, they destroyed 3 motorized rifle battalions of Storm Detachment and a reconnaissance company of Russia's 7th Separate Motorized Rifle Regiment, part of the 11th Army Corps. The operation also resulted in the capture of Russian prisoners. According to Ukrainian military intelligence (HUR), the position of Russian forces in this sector has significantly worsened, nearing a hopeless state following the operation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky presented his victory plan to the Verkhovna Rada, outlining 5 key strategies to end the war with Russia. Invitation to NATO. Zelensky emphasized inviting Ukraine to NATO as a long-term goal, aiming to demonstrate to Putin the failure of his geopolitical strategy. Defensive measures. The plan calls for lifting restrictions on the use of long-range Western weapons in Russia, coordinated air defense with allies, and providing Ukraine with satellite data to assert control. Non-nuclear deterrence. Establishing a deterrence package to compel Russia to consider diplomacy, emphasizing predictable consequences over strategic aggression. Enhanced sanctions and partnerships. Strengthening sanctions against Russia and forming agreements with the EU and US for joint defense and resource investment. Leveraging military experience. Utilizing the battle-hardened Ukrainian armed forces to bolster NATO and European security post-war. Ultimately, the goal is to permanently remove Russian influence over Ukraine, ensuring lasting security for Europe.